A Benjamin, a century, 10 decades. All these things are meant to describe one number, 100. Hi guys, this is Rufaro back again with the podcast, and I'm joined by
Rose from Insights.
Leonard Insights.
Jonathan Pindula Profiles.
Okay, so based off of the intro, we are talking about a special number, 100. It's 3 digits long, and it's been 100 days since the 26th of August when His Excellency, the President, was inaugurated. So a lot has happened since then. We're going to look at that and see, what's been going on. So to start off, we're going to look at the cabinet. So there's a cabinet that was announced, and it's got, some special people that, are called technocrats. These people aren't necessarily politicians, but they're like specialists in their field, like Mthuli Ncube or Kirsty Coventry and the likes. So yeah, let's go on.
Okay, I'll start. When Mthuli Ncube was actually Kirsty, I was happy about Kirsty Coventry because I didn't know much about Mthuli. I was actually a bit happy, 5% happy. I'll put a percentage to it. So here is what happened. I actually thought maybe since Kirsty knows the problems that are associated with actually being an Olympian, actually going to the Olympics, she would actually be of much help when talent is being scouted for in Zimbabwe. So I actually thought maybe that was the same line of thinking when these guys actually appointed everyone else, the Mthulis, they wanted. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know. Maybe your thoughts would help people. What do you think about the technocrats and everyone else that was in?
Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, my greatest worry with the technocrats is that this is not the first time we've had technocrats in our cabinet. I remember the 2000 cabinet, which had the likes of Dr. Nkosana Moyo and Simba Makoni. But yeah, we are in that loop again where we have other technocrats. So it's up to you guys to tell us that if this appointment of these new technocrats is really something that we can really expect to get something out of it, since we've had that in the past.
Yeah, that's the question really with technocrats. They do not have any political sway as it is, and will they be able to achieve as much as they want to achieve, having no party really to stand on? You know how politics dictates what gets done, and I don't know, but overall, a smaller cabinet, that's positive. Technocrats in there, that's positive. We've seen it before, but it's still a positive move. I don't know.
Okay, that's interesting. So these technocrats, one of them is the finance minister, right? And dealing with finance, there was the recent monetary policy which was announced, and it came with some, I don't know whether you call them goodies now, but there's the 2% tax, and then there's the 1:1, rate and things like that. Good, bad. You think it's gonna help or what?
Yeah, because like if you, judging from the monetary policy going to his end of year budget presentation, which was actually dubbed Austerity for Prosperity, you'd find if you were to define the key terms in his byline, austerity means enduring pain. So we are supposed to endure pain in order for us to get into prosperity. But at the end of the day, the most important question is pain at whose expense? I think we have to answer that question before we start celebrating austerity for prosperity or judging him. Who's supposed to cushion that pain? And why are we in this place, in this fix before?
Exactly. The last Friday, actually the 23rd, the day after the budget was announced, I was at an event and everyone actually likened the situation to a cake. And everyone was saying, we're saying let's make the cake bigger. But whilst we're in the process of making it big, there are some people who are actually eating it. So it will never be big enough for us, because by the end time we say we are done, half the cake is eaten. And it's already, there's just half left. So that's the point, that whilst we're trying, okay, who's going to bear the pain and who's going to prosper in all of that? Maybe you guys can answer that.
Yeah, because looking at empirical evidence, research and other things, you'd find that, our societies are so polarized to the extent that we live along party lines, we live along, there is no that the absence of that responsibility as citizens when we are talking about shouldering the pain, because it's all about, we are in groups. So that group mentality, I think, will affect how this functions. Because people actually think that we are shouldering pain for problems that were caused by another group or another segment of our society, which has been alleged to be responsible for our misery for the past 38 years. So I think we really have to really define and define our systems as Zimbabweans. The government has to define itself. The people have to define themselves so that we know who is playing which role for this thing to work. I don't know what other people think.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way I see when it comes to who bears the pain, it is us. It's the populace. There's no question about that. It's us as a nation. There are individuals, we know there is all this corruption, whatever, and all that. But it is us who have to bear that pain. But if we see if we agree with the direction we're headed in, we are more willing to accept whatever pain it is. So it is us who are supposed to bear this thing, as evidenced by the 2% tax and all that. But we are not really questioning the 2% tax per se. But what are we going to use that 2% tax for? Like, we're already overtaxed as it is, and that's the point you were raising. That okay, so who's going to bear this pain? We are going to bear that pain, and the 2% tax. What is it being used for? What kind of impact is it having in the economy? Who knows? It's too early to tell for some of these things. That's the other problem. These budgets and whatever monetary policies were announced like recently, and there's no way we can really see if they are successful or not at this moment. We can only judge on paper, like, oh, we don't think this will work. Oh, you should have said this. You should have said this instead of that. But for now, those are my 2 cents.
100 is a small number.
Yeah. And it's not even 100 days for some of these things, like the monetary policy and the budget.
Yeah, it's
100 days since inauguration. But
Yeah.
we are only a few weeks into some of these announcements.
Some of these things. Yeah. And also, if you look at like historical evidence, we actually see that taxing economies into prosperity is happened in countries like Britain. And Winston Churchill actually says that it's like having the pagan idol who drinks nectar but from the skulls of the slain. You are killing a person, you're taking his skull, and you're drinking nectar from his skull. So we wait to see if it's going to function or not.
The thing is actually with countries like Britain, we cannot really compare. Our governance as Africans is very different. They actually implemented reforms. They actually used that money to reform themselves. They actually used it to build their nation. Since it's 100 days, but we want to see what. Okay, I'll give you a bit of statistics. They were when they were campaigning, these people gave us 233 promises, right? Out of those 233 promises, I got this info at Steve Institute. So they said they gave us 233 promises. Out of all those 233 promises, just one has been implemented. Then 4 have been redefined or refocused. That's 4. 18 are in progress. That leaves around 218 promises that are yet to be implemented. Don't you think we are moving at a very slow pace? Imagine 233, just one.
I guess that's the question. Let us know your thoughts, guys, about the cabinet that we spoke about first with the technocrats, and then this monetary policy. There's the 2% tax, the 1:1 rate, and like what Rose is saying, there's the pace of things. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think we are moving at the right pace? Are we going to achieve, those things, or what's going to happen? So speaking about that, money, other thing that touches into money is the budget, and in the budget, one of the things that was like people were talking about was the issue about duty and forex. So now you have to pay your duty in forex, right? Yeah, so yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. Because if it's 1:1, why do I have to pay it in USD?
Yeah, no, I think the challenge is that we need to separate politicking and economic administration, because, like, we might say one statement politically for populist, endeavors, whilst the economy, works by what we call market forces, the laws of supply and demand.
Yeah.
So if we are saying that is 1:1 with the USD, but of which economically it is not. So for me, it's more of a political statement than the reality on the ground. Hence, maybe the problems that we are facing right now, the fuel shortages, the drug shortages. Because it's ridiculous. I was making calculations earlier today. You would find that for you to buy to procure a liter of fuel on the international market, you need 75 cents US. For you to buy 500 mils of bottled water in Zimbabwe, you need $1. For you to $1.50 sometimes. For you to buy 2 liters, you need $3. That is more. So water is costing more than fuel, of which we are using our own surrogate currency, the bond, which is not recognized anyway, because we have the characteristics of money, homogeneity, portability, etc. Money is supposed to speak to other currencies, but ours doesn't. So it's deaf. We have a deaf currency, which is not speaking, which is not hearing other currencies, but we actually, using motorists are paying on the pump using bond notes. But if you divide the current either street rate or what, because the US dollar is not actually, easily accessible, you would find that you cannot, for a liter, you cannot actually return the money that you used to purchase the fuel. So yeah, the 1:1, things are not really in place.
Yeah.
We don't really know what's happening.
I agree. So that was the big miss in Tuli's address. I think addressing this bond US parity thing, and I think the confusion it's causing right now, it's serious. I mean, like you're saying, so you're saying, okay, pay your duty in forex in July, but it's 1:1. So why do you care which currency I pay in? So I acknowledging that these are different. That you are in a way, and you say it sometimes, but you're like, no, we're trying to maintain a 1:1, which is not feasible because the market has spoken, the market has decided, and everyone knows. And are they not trying to fleece these US dollars from the people? I don't know, but like that whole thing you mentioned, so it brings us back to subsidy. So it means the government is subsidizing our purchase of fuel from outside, because if it's 75 cents to buy the fuel outside, and I don't know, $1.50, what's the new price now for a liter of petrol?
$1.38.
It's even less. So let's say $1.50, just so that it's easier to divide. I mean, at a rate of 1:5, I don't know, that's what, 30 cents per liter that you're paying if you're paying using bond notes or whatever.
So who's
covering that? That's the government. So they were saying what we're using like 25 million a week for fuel imports, and so that's hard currencies, and that's the government. And so they're using this whole RTGS balance and whatever to get the US. So they create that money. How money is created. They create that money. They get the US dollars. They purchase the fuel and whatever. But it's bleeding us dry. That's why we are at $9.5 billion balances, RTGS balances. It's more now, I think. So there's that. And if we're talking this whole subsidy thing, the other thing, it brings us to command agriculture. That's the other drain on the government. So there's been progress. There's some spectacular results actually, like we were mentioning before. Gold production quadrupling in the last couple of years, beating records in tobacco production, and what's the other one? Maize. Command agriculture is bringing some results. Yes, we know when it comes to gold mining, there was that whole thing where small scale miners who their activities were illegal before. Now they were like, okay, bring it in. So that contributed the most to that rise in there. But okay, Commander Greek is bringing this but it's a drain on the resources now because, like, you didn't address that as well. That's the other thing.
That's the thing.
Because they're using a lot of money for this commander grid, but the farmers are not paying back. It's a public secret. They're not
How
paying.
can a secret be public?
Yeah, like they don't come out officially to say this, but it's known that
Yes.
these farmers are not paying back what they are getting from the government. So
Exactly.
essentially, those are not loans. The common Greek thing. It's a subsidy. It's just
A
a
gift.
flat out gift to farmers. And so where are they getting that money now?
Exactly.
That's the other
That's the
thing.
thing.
So that's the government spending. So it looks good on paper, like, okay, we're promoting mining, agriculture, and all that, but at the expense of what? The monetary supply.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, so
Who's bearing those?
I think from what Leo is mentioning is that, what actually struck my mind is the fact that dilution of policies. Speaking of command agriculture, we are pursuing free market systems.
Yeah.
So that dilution, is bound to cause confusion for us.
Yeah.
At the same time, we want to cut expenditure. At the same time, we are subsidizing some things, non-performing loans.
Yeah.
At the same time, we want to act quasi-communist and quasi-capitalist. So if you fuse those things, like, mixing water and oil, I don't think we'll have anything which is really functional from there.
So with everything that's happening, how does it affect, the international relations? Like, how are the international communities going to view us? Like what you're saying, we have a currency that can't speak with other currencies out there and things like that.
Yeah, I think what that tells me is that, the whole world is just, skeptical, sitting by the fences, saying this is a joke. Because, like, I think the problem that we have as Africans, or the problem that we have as Zimbabweans, we define everything through a political lens. Those guys, they will be watching what we do economically, what we do socially, democracy and economics. So, like, the fact that this system proves that there is something that is happening which the citizens are not privy to in terms of fuel. Who's covering the subsidy? We're not told. Who got money from where? Non-performing loans, they're just scraped off. We are not told. So that speaks to the issue of transparency. So if our systems, our economic systems are not transparent enough, we cannot be trusted. It's what I think.
Yeah, and when it comes to international community, we cannot ignore the data. And I'm not really familiar with everything. It says everything that the US is demanding that we adjust or whatever. But I know we're not meeting some of the key ones. And as long as we are still under sanctions from the US, as long as the US still feels we should be under sanctions, there are some countries which would think, okay, let's work with these guys, but they don't want to do that because the US is on that other side. So for now, in Zidera is very difficult because the land thing in Zidera, it has to be addressed. And land, that's politics, it's a huge thing, and it won't be addressed overnight like the economists say, oh, we can change this law like by tomorrow. Realistically, it won't be changed by tomorrow. There's a lot riding in it. These are politicians in the end. So, okay. It's all, so maybe just to say the land, right now, the land is not really owned by the state, but it's not really owned by the farmers as well.
Yeah, it's not functional because they're
It's
taking
another
over 99-year lease.
99 years, yeah.
Who takes up a lease for 99 years?
Yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah, and so farmers are not really able to borrow using that land like they used to be able to. Like the old white farmers we talk about fondly, they used to borrow using that land as collateral. But now, since these farmers do not have the title deeds and they are not able to borrow there, so that's why banks are not lending to them. Hence why we need command agriculture. You see, banks are not lending to them, so we need something so that we revive this because at one point it was whatever 40% of the GDP coming from agri.
Yeah, from agri.
So we really need to ramp it up. So you understand where they're coming from with command agri.
And actually, the research actually says that the gross domestic product coming from within the agricultural sector is 4 times more effective than GDP coming from outside of the sector. But I think the problem in Zimbabwe, it all zeroes down to the issue of property rights.
Yeah.
I think that is what most investors are asking
That's
themselves.
the biggest thing.
Am I guaranteed that I am protected? My property is protected.
Yeah.
That is the biggest question. Because, like, if you are telling a person that I've given you this land under land reform program, but I've given you a 99-year lease, you are selling that person a dummy.
Yeah.
You are selling that person a dead cow on the pretext that it has fainted. Those guys are watching. If he can do that to his own child, I've told you this cow it has fainted. It is going to wake up once in your crow. Yeah. So all those, I think we are sending the wrong message across them.
Yeah. I don't think any. Okay, I was on Twitter the other day, and there was this guy who was asking. He has about 200 something followers. He was asking, "Can I come to Zimbabwe?" And everyone, actually, the one response that actually caught my attention said, "I'll never touch Zimbabwe with a 10-foot pole." And the person who was saying that also had another 200 or so followers on Twitter. And I'm like to myself, oh my goodness, if people can actually say, "I'll never touch Zimbabwe with a 10-foot pole publicly," how many are saying that secretly? Yeah, so we are more like a joke to the international community right now.
Okay. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about, or this is pretty much it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, just to say 100 days
It's too short.
It's just too short.
Yeah.
And some of these things were announced like just a few weeks ago. And so when we judge like where we are in the 100 days, let's remember that. That's all I'm saying.
It's 3 digits, but it's
and also if we are too burdened with the crisis of expectation, I fear that we will be the travelers who will never arrive. Remaining in loop.
One thing, guys, 100 days is a lot of days because we would have seen some positive changes. Let me just give an example of maybe what an arrow. If I'm shooting in that direction, the arrow is bound to go that side. There is not going to be a scenario where the arrow will go the opposite direction. So in the 100 days, it's not, we know it's a short time, but it was supposed to give us a sense of direction. Guys, we are moving in the positive direction. Yeah. Let's talk about the Great Recession in America.
Yeah.
What did they do? They gave themselves the 100 days mark and they actually reformed their economy in those 100 days.
Yeah.
So it's not really a lot because America by that time was like Zimbabwe.
Not at all.
People would
Okay, guys. So we've got essentially 2 camps. The one that's saying 100 days is not enough, it's too short. And there's another camp that's saying actually 100 days is a lot to give us a perspective.
I'm in the middle ground. I'm not really saying the 100 days are too much or the 100 days are too few. Because we have to actually analyze this, taking into consideration all aspects that are at play. We are supposed to go through the TSP program, Transition Stabilization Program, what it is saying. We go through the monetary review. We go through the budget. There are a lot of things that are there that are interconnected. There are a lot of things there that are actually also raising eyebrows, which are different. Like he's saying one thing here and he's saying another thing here. Bond notes are equal, 1:1, bond notes are not equal. So that confusion is that we are very good at having good policy documents. Like if you take, for example, the minerals law in Zimbabwe, it's spread across 35 pieces of legislation spread across 15 ministries. So for you to consolidate all those things, right now, in 10 months, we have all these different 3 documents, very big documents, 308 pages. We write too much, more than action.
So like Jonathan was saying, he's in the camp of he's not sure. Leo's like, no, 100 days is too little. Rose is like, no, 100 days is a lot.
Yeah.
You should have at least an idea of where we're going.
Yeah.
So let us know, guys, what you think about this. Do you think 100 days is too little? Is it a lot? Or you're in between and you're like, there's a lot to consider. Like all these things that we were discussing, it's not everything that happened in the 100 days. These are just some of the highlights, things that people were kind of speaking about out loud, like, so this happened and this. So let us know your thoughts as well on that. So just to recap, if you've forgotten, we talked about the cabinet, so the technocrats, right? We have people who aren't necessarily politicians, like Kirsty Coventry, who is an Olympian, and she joined, the Ministry of Sports, and culture. And like, what are your thoughts on that, on moves like that, happening in our country? And then we also have the monetary policy. There's the 2% tax. Like, who's supposed to pay? Like, are we supposed to suffer? Do you think it's gonna help? What are your thoughts on that? And then the budget. The monetary policy says there's a 1-to-1, but in the budget you're being told actually duty you pay with forex. What do you think about that? Do you think it makes sense, or like maybe you actually see where it makes sense? Share with the world so that we all gain from that knowledge and understand that perspective. And yeah, lastly, the international community. I mean, they do say no man is an island. So yeah, we can't be, even though we're landlocked,
We kind of are an island.
we can't be an island.
Landlocked
But
island.
yeah, we do need people. Like, yeah, what do you think could be done to help us actually make better friends out there, so that it caught my ears what you said, so that our money talks with other money out there. But yeah, this has been it. This is me, Rufaro. I will catch you in the code. That's what I do.
Okay, from me, Rose. Okay, she on the Techzim Insights platforms.
Yeah, from Jonathan, signing out. See you at Pindula Profiles.
Leo out.
Yeah, you don't just say out. They'll
Oh,
catch you
Where are we
away.
going to catch you?
Out?
Yeah.
Okay. You catch Leo out.